You know that feeling, right? You're browsing online, you see a trend, and boom, it's just there. Super affordable, looks like it popped up overnight. It feels almost like magic sometimes. But how does that actually happen? What's the machinery behind it all? And, well, what are the real costs, the ones you don't see on the price tag? Today, we're doing a deep dive into China's fast fashion industry. We've gathered quite a stack of sources for you, everything from investigative reports looking into factory conditions, economic analyses, even policy documents. Our goal to really unpack this intricate supply chain, try to understand the unique market stuff that makes it work, and also explore how it's dealing with, the current global trade situation, especially with these new tariff pressures.
Oh, it's absolutely massive, a colossal industry. And China is really right at the heart of it. Just to give you a sense of scale, I mean, the global fashion industry is worth billions and billions. China, they hold a huge chunk of that. Back in 2017, for instance, they accounted for like over 30% of total brand clothing sales. And fast fashion specifically has just exploded. It's dominant, not just globally, but definitely inside China, too. You see people in big cities like Beijing always chasing the latest trend, and fast fashion makes that possible.
Yeah, that makes total sense. So we hear the term fast fashion constantly, but what does it really mean, specifically in the Chinese context? And I guess more importantly, what's the secret sauce? How is their business model so effective at churning out trends that fast and at those prices?
Right. So at its core, fast fashion in China is about hyperspeed trend copying. They see what's hot internationally, often, through social media, and then they replicate it almost instantly. The real secret, though, isn't just the speed. It's this formula. Low price, many styles, and small quantities. That's not just a catchy phrase. It's literally how they operate. It allows for constant change, this quick in, quick out approach. Keeps inventory super lean, trends always fresh, and, well, it keeps customers coming back for the next new thing.
Many styles, small quantities. That's interesting.
Exactly. And a lot of the big players think Zara, Handu, Urban Revivo, they use what's called the SPA model, a specialty retailer of private label apparel. Think of it like this. They control the whole process, from the first sketch of a shirt to stitching it to putting it right on the shelf or listing it online.
So vertical integration.
Precisely. Design, production, sales, it's all integrated. This cuts out so many middlemen. It gives them amazing control over quality, costs, and crucially, that time to market, speed. It means they can have really lean inventory, high turnover, which they need because honestly, the profit margin on each individual item, it's often pretty slim. They make their money on selling a lot of stuff.
Okay, so if the margins are that tight, does that make them really vulnerable? Like, even small changes in cost or demand could throw things off. Seems like a bit of a high wire act. And that speed you mentioned, it really is incredible. How do they actually pull it off, especially the supply chain part?
Oh, absolutely. It's definitely a high-stakes game they're playing.
Yeah.
And that speed, yeah, it's not magic. It's engineered. A marvel of logistics and tech, really. It starts right at the beginning, upstream, with raw materials. Fast fashion needs fabrics that are cheap and quick to produce. So we're talking lots of cotton, polyester, and especially viscose. And here's a really key point. China produces something like two-thirds of the entire world's viscose.
Wow, two-thirds?
Yeah. That gives them a massive cost advantage right from the start. They can churn out cheap, fast production fabric in huge quantities. You won't see much expensive wool or leather. It just doesn't fit the model.
Okay, yeah.
Then, moving downstream, you've got these manufacturing hubs. Places like Guangzhou are famous for these, well, gritty workshops that just pump out clothes at an unbelievable rate. And if they need even lower labor costs, they'll tap suppliers in other provinces, Jiangxi, Guangxi, Hunan.
Right.
But what really turbocharges the whole system is this blend of technology and, interestingly, decentralization. Companies like Shane, for example, they don't just email orders. Their suppliers have to use these special algorithmic platforms. It manages everything: communication, documents, tracking production.
Like a central nervous system for the whole supply chain.
Kind of, yeah. It means factories can react almost instantly to demand signals. It's like an automated feedback loop for fashion. And then you have Chinese brands like Handu doing something unique. They have this merchandising team model. Over 260 small independent teams, maybe 3 to 5 people each. And each team makes its own decisions about buying, pricing, production for their specific lines. It leads to this explosion of different designs and super fast parallel production cycles.
That sounds incredibly complex to manage.
It is, but it's all driven by data. Sales figures, customer comments, feedback online, they mine all of it constantly.
Yeah.
For trend forecasting, for product design, Urban Revivo, for instance, they built this really sophisticated digital supply chain. They even partnered with Huawei Cloud for advanced analytics. So it's not just guessing, it's very informed, rapid decision-making.
Got it.
Then layer on top the advanced logistics. You've got companies like La Chapelle, Urban Revivo using RFID tags, radio frequency identification. Think of it like a super smart barcode on every single garment, tracking it from the factory floor right to the store or warehouse.
Okay.
Yeah, it boosts accuracy, efficiency, cuts down on labor.
Yeah.
Plus, automated warehouse systems help move everything quickly. It's all about minimizing friction.
And the final piece.
The final piece, and maybe the most critical now, is direct-to-consumer e-commerce. It's the bedrock. China has, nearly 1 billion online shoppers. These online platforms let them list unlimited new products instantly. It dramatically shortens the path from the factory to your closet. It fits perfectly with that fast fashion model. Loads of styles, small batches, quick turnover.
Wow. Okay, so we've really taken apart this machine. It's engineered for incredible efficiency, incredible speed. It sounds almost perfect, like a logistics triumph. But, and this is big but, this same efficiency, this relentless drive for low cost, it often comes with a really, really troubling side, a hidden price tag. Let's get into those uncomfortable truths now.
You're absolutely right. That push for rock-bottom prices, it often means, unacceptable costs for the people involved.
Yeah.
Especially the workers right at the bottom. Some of the investigative reports looking into factories that supply brands like Shein, the findings are shocking. Workers reportedly putting in 18-hour days, 7 days a week, no weekends.
18 hours.
18 hours. Base pay around, say, $556 a month, maybe, with tiny commissions, like 2 cents per item they finish. And get this, sometimes their first month's pay is withheld, just held back.
That's unbelievable.
Workers talk about chronic pain, having no formal contracts, no health insurance, no pensions. The physical toll is just immense. Some describe how their bodies are literally bent one side of their waist thinner than the other, as one report put it, from the repetitive, intense work.
That's just awful. Is there any way for them to push back or report these conditions, or are they just trapped in that system?
It's incredibly tough for them. The lack of formal contracts, the lack of transparency, makes it very difficult. And it's not just the factory workers feeling the squeeze. The independent manufacturers, the suppliers themselves, they face enormous pressure too. Look at Temu, for example. Reports suggest they pressure vendors to accept prices that are actually below what it costs them to make the product.
Below cost. How does that even work?
Well, apparently, if a product starts selling well, Temu's system might just automatically demand the vendor lower the price even more. If the vendor says no, their sales can suddenly dry up. And then there are penalties, like a storage fee, maybe $65 a day if products don't sell within a week. It basically forces them to either liquidate stock at a loss or just accept huge losses. It sounds absolutely ruthless. And on top of that, you have issues with intellectual property, multiple accusations against platforms like Temu. Vendors saying their unique products, maybe ones they sold on Amazon, just get copied and slapped onto Temu for way, way cheaper. The whole thing, honestly, it operates under this veil of secrecy. Company founders are often unknown. There's very little corporate transparency. It makes verifying conditions, tracing where things really come from, incredibly hard.
Okay, so the human cost is clearly enormous, a really stark contrast to those cheap price tags. But that's not the only hidden cost, is it? What about the environmental impact of all this super fast production and consumption?
No, the environmental toll is also staggering. The textile industry consistently ranks among the top 5 most polluting industries globally. That's huge. Just think about carbon emissions. Back in 2015, the fashion industry was responsible for over 1,700 million tons of CO2. That was over 5% of global emissions.
5%.
Yeah. And then there's water pollution. Textile mills contribute about 1/5 of the world's industrial water pollution. They use thousands of chemicals, many toxic, some carcinogenic. China's textile industry alone, just in 2015 again, produced something like 1.84 billion tons of wastewater effluent. It's hard to even picture that volume.
Unbelievable.
And then, of course, there's the whole Xinjiang cotton situation. It's a massive human rights issue. Nearly 90% of China's cotton comes from Xinjiang, where there's, documented forced labor and persecution of the Uyghur Muslim minority. And tests have actually found Xinjiang cotton in some Shein clothes shipped to the U.S.
Despite regulations trying to stop that.
Exactly. The U.S. has the Uyghur Forced Labor Prevention Act trying to block these goods. But reports suggest that the Chinese government finds ways around it. It's a constant battle for enforcement.
So people know about this, right? Consumers are aware.
Increasingly, yes. People are more aware of the pollution, the poor quality sometimes, the labor issues, but it's tough. The stuff is so cheap, it's everywhere, it's convenient. So even if you know the problems, avoiding it is hard. Some
Yeah.
people feel, what difference can my one purchase make anyway, given the scale of it all? It's a real dilemma for consumers.
It really is a complex picture of efficiency, ethics, environment. So, pivoting a bit, what does all this mean now for China's fast fashion industry facing these increased trade tensions? The tariff threats, especially, talk about a potential second Trump administration.
Yeah, that's the critical question now, isn't it? The future. Donald Trump, during his campaign, talked about even bigger tariffs than before, like a potential 60% tariff specifically on China, maybe even a total effective rate hitting 145% on Chinese goods. And it's important to remember how these tariffs generally work. They're usually paid by the U.S. importer, the U.S. businesses, and ultimately passed on to U.S. consumers.
Right, not paid by China directly.
Exactly. Research from the first round showed that even with duties rising, say 30%, Chinese exporters barely lowered their prices, maybe less than 1%. So almost the whole cost got passed on to U.S. farms and, well, onto you at the checkout.
Okay, and there was this specific loophole, wasn't there? Something that really helped Chinese fast fashion companies like Shein and Temu. The de minimis thing. What's that about and how does it fit in here?
Ah, yes, the de minimis exemption. It's been hugely important, maybe more than people realize. Basically, it lets low-value packages skip the standard customs checks and import taxes. In 2016, the U.S. dramatically raised this threshold from $200 up to $800 per package. What are the highest in the world?
$800.
800. And the result? By 2023, shipments claiming this exemption shot up over 1,000%. 1,000%. And who benefited most? These big Chinese e-commerce players, Shein, AliExpress, Temu now, they could just mail millions of packages directly to U.S. shoppers, duty-free, often without much inspection. It's like a superhighway for their business model.
A golden ticket, you called it earlier.
Pretty much. But, uh-oh, that ticket's getting punched. Under the renewed Trump administration, an executive order came down. It specifically ends the de minimis exemption for goods coming from China and Hong Kong. That took effect May 2nd, 2025. And there's a plan to close the loophole globally later, around August 29th, 2025.
So that path is closing fast.
It is closing. Chinese firms are losing that absolutely crucial duty-free advantage that was so central to their pricing and strategy.
So how's that actually playing out right now? The tariffs, losing de minimis. What's the impact on the ground? Can this super lean, low margin model even survive this kind of pressure?
Well, the reports suggest they're definitely feeling it. The industry is struggling. Tariffs are pushing prices up for Shein, for Temu, for others. Shein apparently tried to absorb some cost. Initially, they actually dropped average prices by about 23% between April and July 2025, maybe trying to hang on to market share.
Oh, cutting prices even with rising costs.
Yeah, suggests how intense the pressure is. But it seems unsustainable. We're hearing about factory rates dropping and, sadly, significant layoffs happening, workers losing their jobs. And you're seeing a strategic pivot, too. Some Chinese businesses are already trying to shift focus, looking more towards other markets, like the Middle East. It signals they know they need to adapt, and quickly.
Interesting. So pressure on fast fashion, does that create openings elsewhere?
It absolutely does. And this is a fascinating side effect. These pressures are kind of boosting slow fashion. The movement focused on sustainability, ethical production, and importantly, secondhand shopping. Resale platforms, think ThredUp, The RealReal, they're much less affected by these import tariffs. Why? Because their supply chain isn't global factories. It's literally clothes from closets, mostly within the U.S. in ThredUp's case.
Ah, right. Local sourcing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
ThredUp's stock price actually went up after the de minimis news. They called closing the loophole long overdue market equalization and a major victory for the environment and sustainable fashion. So they see it as leveling the playing field.
And what about China's response internally? Are they just letting this happen, or are they trying to adjust their own strategy?
Oh, they're definitely adjusting. China isn't just sitting back. They're actively pushing new policies. Their latest 14th five-year plan, for example, specifically talks about green development, sustainability, and more digitalization for the garment industry. They're also supporting things like cross-border e-commerce infrastructure, building overseas warehouses. It's all aimed at finding new ways to grow, new markets, and navigating around these trade barriers. It shows a clear strategic response from within China itself.
So the whole landscape is just shifting incredibly dramatically. It's this really complex mix, isn't it? Amazing efficiency on one hand, but these huge human and environmental costs on the other. And now these powerful global trade forces are really shaking things up. This deep dive, it really shows how connected everything is, from a factory floor in Guangzhou through all these global rules and logistics right into, well, right into your closet.
It really does. It just highlights that constant tension, doesn't it, between our desire for cheap, fast stuff, the economics of efficiency, and then these absolutely critical issues of human rights and environmental health.
Yeah. We've seen this industry built entirely on speed and low cost now being forced to rethink things to adapt to this new global trade reality. And maybe, just maybe, that opens the door a little wider for more sustainable ways of doing things. Definitely gives you something to think about next time you're clicking add to cart